This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only
Dave Hall, of course. Let me just call him now, folks. I've never introduced him before I do the open, but I'm going to do it now. The Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Dave Hall. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Scott. I just had to chime in early, you know. Sometimes I just can't wait to get going.
I know, right? I know, it's awesome.
Being held back, it's almost like a false start, you know, sort of.
I know.
It's like a tush. So I'm
tush.
jumping early on the edge.
Oh, God. Don't get me started on the tush push. The whole thing is cheating. Stupid NFL. Anyway, welcome, everyone, to Journeys Uncharted. It is, of course, Through the Looking Glass. I'm Scott Criscuolo, and that is Dave Hall. Welcome, everyone, to our show. This is, I believe, Dave, I keep trying to remember it, and then I forget it because it's me. I believe this is our 48th episode.
Wow.
Because I believe we started 4 years ago, September, right? No, October of 2021. Or 22. 22. Right? Am I doing the math right? Of course I'm not. I'm an idiot. No, 21. No, 21. Because you figure 21 to 22 was 12, 24. Yeah. October of 2021. Right in the midst of the vid, you and I started this awesome journey. And we are now 4 years old next month. This is our 48th episode of Through the Looking Glass. Think of all the journeys we've taken, Dave. Think of all the things we've mangled and fixed, like we're doing now.
Absolutely. Fixing things is the key. We're the fixers of the wrestling universe.
We are the fixers. We are the fixers indeed of the wrestling universe. We fix some great stuff. Our first episode was CM Punk, if you remember correctly. And who would have thunk, Dave, that 4 years later, CM Punk is here. CM Punk is in WWE. Who would have thought that?
And not just Punk, but AJ Lee's return as well. Like, I think when we started, I think that neither of those would ever have been on anyone's radar. So, yeah, it's amazing what can change in 4 years.
It is really. And I remember November that year, we did an easy rebook. We rebooked Montreal. That was like low-hanging fruit. And we've done amazing stuff since then. We did a few, obviously, obituary tributes. We did one last month, of course. We did a tribute to the great Hulk Hogan.
America.
Mr. America himself. Yes, that guy. We're going to talk about Mr. America tonight. Or will we?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Of course, everyone, just to give everybody, obviously, in July, Dave and I, of course, started we have never done a series before, usually all our episodes. And if you're new to the show, by the way, we normally don't do this. But if you're new to the show, first off, welcome. Secondly, go back first of all, listen to every episode, please. But if you're focused on this, go back 2 episodes to July, because for the first time we actually are doing a continuous thing. So if this is the first episode you're listening to, welcome. Pause this episode, go back 2 episodes, listen to the one in July, and then come back to this one because we want you, of course, to be caught up. As we did in July, we are doing a multi-month project that's almost a crossover. I'll explain in a minute. Dave and I decided to take a year. They're doing it over on the No-So in various ways. We are restructuring WWE in 2003. Also low-hanging fruit. It's just a question of doing it right. It's also a question of doing it right, of course, because it could be very easy. And in July, we did part 1, which was the Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and WrestleMania 19. So again, if this is your first episode, again, welcome. Thank you for being here. We love having you. But pause this episode, go back 2 months to July, listen to that one, and then come back here and join us, and then you'll be caught up. Last month we took a break because we, of course, did a special tribute obit, which if you haven't listened to, please do. We did a special alternate universe best of DVD of the greatest matches and most famous moments, or infamous, depending on your point of view, of course, the great Hulk Hogan. So we took a break. But this month, we have returned back to our series. So we're just going to push it a couple of months. We would have finished it next month, but we'll finish it in November. And this month, tonight, we are going to do our next quarter of shows. So tonight, we're going to rebook Backlash, Judgment Day, and the first standalone pay-per-view, Bad Blood. Now, for all you fans in the UK, we are not rebooking Insurrection because there's really no point. Well, I mean, we could because the matches kind of don't make sense, but we're not going to bother. We're not going to bother. No. That was the last, of course, incidentally, Dave, I don't know if you know this or not, Dave. Incidentally, that was the last UK pay-per-view until whatever Money in the Bank last year, right? Or whenever it was back in or I guess if you're talking about the United Kingdom, I guess it would have been Clash at the Castle a couple years ago when it was in Scotland. But Insurrection 2003, which I believe was the week before Bad Blood. So I think it was like the second weekend in June of 2003.
June 7th, 2003.
Yeah, and I watched it recently, and I mean, it's fine. It's a decent little UK show. Nothing earth-shattering. It's fine. But we're not going to rebook that because it really has nothing to do with the domestic booking that we're doing here. So so don't worry about Insurrection. We're not going to do it. We're only going to focus on Backlash, Judgment Day, and then the Raw-specific Bad Blood. And then, of course, next month we'll do Vengeance, SummerSlam, and Unforgiven, and then we'll wrap up in November when we do No Mercy Survivor Series and a show that I just watched this past week, actually, Armageddon. So, and then we'll be done. And then we will rebook 1981 Mid-South. No, I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? Imagine Dave, you and I rebooking 1981 Mid-South. Could you imagine? Well, I would have given Junkyard Dog the Mid-South, the North American title for the entire year. So that's just me. In any event,
it was a time when you could get away with doing that anyway.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So, all right. So we're not going to redo all. Well, let's go quickly while Dave's setting up because he's the man. So, for those that we'll do a quick primer, but then we want you, if you're new, we want you to definitely listen to a couple weeks ago. So, This is how we started. So at the Royal Rumble in January in Boston, we did Billy Kidman versus Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title, Bookdust versus Regal and Storm for the World Tag Team titles, the Royal Rumble match, which was won by RVD. Incidentally, I got a funny thing to tell you about my Royal Rumble thing. I'll tell you in a minute. Brock Lesnar versus The Big Show for the last Rumble spot, which is what happened in real life, and Brock won. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit for the WWE title, which happened in real life. Kurt won. And Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, last man standing for the World Heavyweight Championship. The match happened in real life, but we rebooked it to where Triple H won outright instead of that terrible draw with interference by Chris Jericho because we have something going with that. Then the following month, No Way Out in Montreal, we had The Undertaker versus Rhino with Taker winning. Kane versus Scott Steiner with Steiner winning. We had Los Guerreros versus Tajiri and Nunzio with the Guerreros winning. And again, if you want the backstory on this, check out the episode 2 months ago. Team Angle versus Brock Lesnar, Chris Benoit, and Rey Mysterio in a 6-man. We did not have the handicap after Edge got hurt. We added a guy because that was dumb. Billy Kidman versus Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight title, which Matt Hardy won. That happened in real life. Chris Jericho versus Rob Van Dam for RVD's Rumble title shot, which RVD won when Shawn Michaels interfered. Triple H versus Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship, which Triple H won. The Rock took on the Hurricane. Hurricane won when the returning Steve Austin interfered. And then we had Austin versus Bischoff, which happened in real life. Then WrestleMania 19 in Seattle, our card was Team Angle versus the Guerreros for the WWE Tag Team titles, which Team Angle won. Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. Rey won the title instead of Matt Hardy retaining it. We had Regal and Storm versus Bookdust versus the Dudley Boys, a World Tag Team title triple threat. Regal and Storm retained. We had Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, which happened in real life, and we had Shawn win. We had The Undertaker versus Scott Steiner, with Taker winning instead of that dreadful match with Nathan Jones. Sorry, we had to. Dave had no conscience getting rid of his countrymen. So, Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon in the street fight. We kept that because that match is amazing. Excuse me. We had Victoria versus Trish Stratus for the women's title. 2 out of 3 falls because those two were amazing together. We did not have Jazz. Trish won the belt. We had Triple H versus RVD for the World Heavyweight title. And yes, we did it. Triple H dropped the title to Rob Van Dam. We had The Rock versus Steve Austin, which Rock did win. And we had Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar in the main event, which of course happened in real life, and Brock won. So here's our title holders as we head into part 2 of our series. So Rob Van Dam is now our World Heavyweight champion because Dave and I had the guts to do it. And we did it well.
Yes,
we did it well. I think we did a good job with that. Brock Lesnar's our WWE champion. We didn't change that. No Intercontinental champion yet. We'll fix that tonight. Or maybe we won't. Who knows? I'm going to make Dave do it. No, I'm just kidding. Dave may want to do it, but we'll get to that. Our Raw Tag Team Champions is Regal Storm. Our WWE Tag Team Champions is Team Angle, of course, Shelton and Charlie. Our Cruiserweight Champion is Rey Mysterio. And our Women's Champion is Trish Stratus. Okay. All right. So now, Dave, we begin. So our next pay-per-view, April 27th. The only reason I know the dates is not because I'm a wrestling nerd, although, of course, I am. We all are. I just remember because I'm watching 2003 right now, so it's fresh in my mind.
Just before we launch, I think it's good to also remind everyone that we did put some parameters into our structure, and those parameters were essentially that we could only use the roster that was available to us. So we can't go and sign AJ Styles and bring him in and book him to the moon. We've got to utilize the roster. Yeah, right. We've got to utilize the roster available to us, and if people and we're utilizing it where possible. Primarily when people arrive, that's when we have access to them. So we can't go and bring someone in 3 months early at the Royal Rumble when they don't, say, turn up until just after WrestleMania, which might give a hint to what might happen later this episode. And also, if someone is significantly hurt in a way that is completely unpreventable from our end, for example, Kurt Angle in his neck, then we obviously lose access to them while they're in recovery. So I say that because obviously that is something we are dealing. We will have some people starting to arrive in WWE over the next couple of pay-per-views, and we also have Kurt Angle's neck injury, which he left after WrestleMania to get neck surgery. It's a short time off. We will get Angle back soon, but that those were some of the boundaries we put in place just so that we don't go crazy and, like you said, bring Sting in to win the world title in his first appearance when that doesn't happen. So
exactly. Yeah. So all right. So our next pay-per-view is going to be Sunday, April 27th. In Worcester at the old Centrum. It is Backlash. It is still a co-branded pay-per-view, even though we do have our 2 brands. It's still co-branded, so Raw and SmackDown will both be on. So where should we begin? Let's focus on obviously our 2 champions. We'll begin with the easier one, which is Brock Lesnar.
I think we've outlined the thing. We had Brock Lesnar win the title at WrestleMania. We're not back from Kurt. As we've said, Kurt is injured. He goes off for surgery. So we have a blank slate for Brock. We've got no challenger at the moment, and we need to see where this is going to lie. So I'm going to throw out a couple of ideas here, just based on where we've taken our journey to date. Okay, so a clear, very, very easy option would be to do what happened in real life, and that is bring John Cena into the mix. John Cena in his rapping gimmick was elevated to be the number one contender in the real timeline. And that's an option we have available to us. It's a very easy option. We have been known to use some easy options because it really was a one-off night, a one-off event. It wasn't an ongoing thing because we're just biding time to see where other storylines may take us. Coming out of WrestleMania, if we look at what we did in WrestleMania, some of the key players in the SmackDown side of things, we obviously had Hulk Hogan beat Vince McMahon. He's appearing on SmackDown. We also had we really didn't utilize a lot of SmackDown only players at WrestleMania because we had a couple of tag teams, and utilizing the tag teams and the cruiserweights, the SmackDown side of things didn't get a lot of picture. But a name I'd like to throw into the mix as a potential challenger for Brock could be, not saying we do it, it could be Scott Steiner, who's just lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. He beat Kane the event before. We had him turn up at the Royal Rumble, but we kept him, out of it was sort of like appear and not really do much. And Scott Steiner's really sort of being built for that match against The Undertaker. So losing to The Undertaker doesn't necessarily disqualify him from being a challenger to Brock. So there's two ideas to throw out there. You got any other thoughts, Scott, of who could be a potential challenger following WrestleMania?
Well, obviously in the primary universe, it was John Cena. They did a tournament, and John Cena won it, and it was in essence a throwaway because we all know what the main event was for Backlash, and we'll focus on that trail in a minute. So in the Prime universe, the two title matches at Backlash were, well, one didn't even happen. We had a garbage six-man, which we're not going to do that, obviously, because that was crap. Cena won a tournament, which is fine. You wanted to, because, Cena was kind of I wouldn't say it was flavor of the month. As I'm watching 2003 right now, that didn't really kick in until like the fall when Vince looked at Cena and said, I can mold this guy into my next star. That didn't happen until the fall when they turned him face. He was still a heel here. So Cena, as great as he was at that moment, we can't be throwing title. I mean, I've always just been in the mindset, Dave, we can't just be throwing title matches away. That annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
They're that's why they're championships. They're the championships. And you need to treat them with respect. You don't just, we need a title match for the show. Just do this because we've got a big main event that's not a title match, which is fine. Having the main event not be a title match is totally fine with me. But that doesn't mean we have to just throw some schmuck in the middle of a thing just to make a title match that's visibly going to be a win for somebody. Well, in this case, Brock Lesnar. So I love that idea. Scott Steiner did his run. Now, I'm not gonna tip it. We're talking about Scott Steiner. Now, Dave and I did cross over to the other side. We're breaking the fourth wall here. A new show has debuted by the time this airs over on the No-So called Ruthless, which is kind of I don't want to say rebooking, to retooling of the old Ruthless Aggressive podcast that Jacob Williams and Logan Crossley had done when they were going through the Ruthless Aggression era. And Matt Farrell is now hosting. And you did an episode with him.
Yep.
And I just did an episode with him earlier in the week. And that my episode, I'm not sure when yours drops. Mine's not dropping for a couple months. So you're not. But we talked about, he called me out minorly because I went on because we talked the topic of my show was Unforgiven, which of course you and I will cover next month. He called me out because I was talking about not wanting Scott Steiner anywhere near anything, talking about title matches, and he's like, "Well, you wanted Scott Steiner to win the Rumble because he listened to it." And I said to Matt, and I said it to you too. At least winning the Rumble curtails a lot of his moves. He's hidden with other people, and he can throw some guys over and not completely kill himself. It's different than wrestling Triple H in a 21-minute world title match when you clearly were not physically ready yet to handle a match like that on your own yet. Still trying to figure out, your physical limitations. So I said that. I said to Matt, that's why I had Steiner win that was my idea, and we talked about it, of course, in our last episode, our part 1 of this series, that I wanted him to win the Rumble. Now, having said that, in our alternate universe, through the looking glass, by April, I'd like to think, Dave, that Steiner is healthy enough now and kind of got his boots on that he can
not stink up the joint.
Right. So that he's not gassed and bloated and puking. So like he did at the Royal Rumble, and even worse, No Way Out. No Way Out at least wasn't even entertaining. So I like this idea because Scott Steiner, even if you think, oh my God, they're not going to have Brock Lesnar drop the belt after a month, at least Scott Steiner's a guy that you can legitimately put in there as somebody that could win the belt. And he's a better heel anyway. He's one of those guys. He's just better at being an asshole. It's just his nature. So
and yeah, absolutely. And I think he's also got the size to make an impression, especially at that point. You know, his physical presence would certainly be comparable to Brock,
right?
And make him in the eyes of the casual fan, this could be legit. Like, this guy could legitimately beat Brock. You would think that looking at him,
right? So you you build that up over the month, and you build it up to where he comes out. He's a trade was made, and you trade Steiner to SmackDown, and we can talk about someone you think would be better suited over on Raw. So we could do it. We could do a talent trade. Scott Steiner moves to SmackDown so he could challenge Brock Lesnar. He becomes, we could do like that night, whatever that tournament is, he could be a surprise entrant in the tournament if you want to do it that way.
It doesn't even necessarily need to be it could be that the SmackDown after Mania, he appears, he almost forced his own trade. You could run a story that after he lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, he confronted the general manager and basically, put the thread in there that, I want, he turns up angry at what's happened and maybe even attacks Undertaker on SmackDown. Maybe he and Undertaker face each other in the tournament, and Scott Steiner gets a little bit of a one night payback, which could lead to a future match a rematch with Taker, even just on SmackDown itself. But he sort of comes in, forces his way into the tournament. So not so much the surprise thing, but threatening our general manager, who, of course, our general manager would be young, very young Stephanie. She was general manager. Had she taken over yet? She had.
Oh yeah, she had taken over in the fall. As a matter of fact, if you remember, Dave, and we could it's good that I've just watched this recently because it's fresh in my mind. If you remember, between Survivor Series, when he debuted at Survivor Series and after Armageddon, when he officially joined Raw, he was a quote free agent, and Stephanie, as GM, alluded to certain benefits to being on SmackDown, and I think Steiner was like, as a babyface. Well, now Steiner, now becoming a heel and, as usual, a lecherous sleazeball, can go to Stephanie and go, well, I'm here now, and, you did promise me if I came to SmackDown, And Stephanie's like, well, that was then, this is now. And I'm like, I don't see the difference. And we, can use that,
Yeah, and Scott Steiner now being the heel, known for losing his temper and the whether it was legitimate or not, like that almost that roid rage sort of approach. Like that was always, I think that was always part of the gimmick. It was alluded to that he'd fly off the handle because of how big he'd gotten. Steiner could basically make the threats against Stephanie and threaten her safety, and Stephanie feels she has no choice to put him into this tournament and accept a trade. And you could even maybe have Bischoff sort of like, well, yeah, I'm happy to trade him away. I don't want him. I don't want this guy anymore, but I'll reserve, we'll work out who he gets. Maybe it's sort of the thing of, I'll take someone later. Maybe next week or the week after, he'll tell us who he's going to take. So yeah, you could sort of play that story up, and Steiner comes in, wins the tournament, and earns the shot at Brock Lesnar at Backlash. I think that would be a nice little storyline to play out.
Right. I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. So we set it up over the coming weeks that Steiner's becoming a little handsy with Stephanie, and he's losing his temper. Like, you promised me, I want a little taste of that McMahon, something disgustingly perverted. And Brock goes, oh. That's not how we treat her, and that leads us into, and over the coming weeks you book it, and that's our title match at Backlash. So there's our so instead of John Cena, no disrespect to John, big match, John's going to get his chance. So let's pump the brakes on that. Don't worry, John, you're fine. We're taking a job you have to do away from you. So our WWE title match. Brock Lesnar defends the WWE Championship against Scott Steiner, and it could end in a schmoz, if you wanted.
I think where we're at with Brock, I think Brock needs to win. I think there could be a bit of maybe this is an element where Scott Steiner starts going nuts. Maybe the ref gets taken down, and while the ref's down, Scott Steiner starts going nuts. He's grabbing chairs. He's hitting Brock with the chair. He's throwing him into the table. Sort of the ref's down. Chaos is ensuing. And while that chaos is ensuing, maybe the gong goes and the lights drop and the lights come back on. And there's the Undertaker. He doesn't have to interfere, but he's just standing there for a moment. And that's enough to distract Scott for a minute, allowing Brock to get back to his feet. And then Brock just takes full couple of belly to belly or Germans and into the F5, and Brock gets a clean win. I think Brock needs to win the match 1, 2, 3 clean with alluded interference. So Taker doesn't really interfere in the match, but his presence distracts him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Kind of like Kane back at the Rumble when he was getting the following year, getting in his head when we get to that later on in the year. Yeah, like that. All right, so there we go. So one belt down. All right. This one is a little more tricky. This is a little trickier. So let's talk about our world heavyweight champion, Rob Van Dam, who of course just freshly won the world title from Triple H at WrestleMania. Clearly, obviously, Triple H is still the number one guy on Raw. And Triple H comes out. Well, Triple H comes out He's pissed off. He's pissed off. Everyone's like, you made fun of RVD for a couple months. He was just a ECW flunky, easy win for me in Seattle. Then I'll move on to other guys. And then he loses and he comes out and he's thoroughly embarrassed. What does he do then? RVD comes out, does his usual kind of taunting, and gets in his face, says, "Oh, you made fun of me, you doubted me, I was, that guy."
What if I'm trying to think ahead of where we're going as well. Okay. So potentially where we want to be going in over the next couple of months. What if Triple H just absolutely loses it? Comes out, Rob Van Dam is being cool, calm, and collected. Rob Van Dam, and just he's saying a few snarky things, and it just sets Triple H off, and Triple H just goes on a rampage. This is on Raw. This could even be the night after WrestleMania, and he does a beatdown with Flair there. They do a beatdown of RVD. And then you get the refs coming in to try and stop it, and Triple H has just clearly lost the plot, having lost even in the build-up. This could happen later in the show. Like initially, you get a couple of things like when he comes down to ringside. So earlier in the show, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler are talking on commentary about him being the former champion, and maybe we get a backstage interview with him referred to as the former champion, and he sort of grabs the person who's doing the interview, shakes them up a little bit. Don't say, don't call me former nothing. And then when he's coming out he comes out for an in-ring segment, and Lillian Garcia does the same thing. And I've seen this one on YouTube. I remember this happening. Lillian Garcia refers to him as the former champion, and he loses it. He runs down the ring. He's sort of threatened. So you can sort of see he's losing the plot here. He gets on the mic with Flair, and they're talking about how he got cheated. RVD cheated him, and RVD didn't really win the match. And then RVD can come out and be cool and relaxed and, make a bit of fun of the fact that he beat Triple H. And Triple H, just like I said, loses the plot. He's beating on RVD. Then the refs come out and he starts throwing refs around, and Bischoff comes out and he even takes a shot at Bischoff till we get to the point where the only action, like basically Triple H has to be hauled away, maybe by security guards, maybe even by cops. And Bischoff sort of has no option. He's backed into a corner. He has to suspend Triple H from action for 30 days. And so Triple H can continue. We can have over the next few weeks, we can have midweek interviews or phone-in interviews or sit-down interviews with Triple H, still taunting. I've got a rematch coming. This isn't over, RVD. You don't. I've been humiliated. I got pulled in, taken to jail. This is a disgrace. This is not how you treat the greatest wrestler in the history of the world.
Right.
I'm going to, it's implied that he's cut a deal with Bischoff to get him out of no charges are laid. But Bischoff is sort of, there's a lot of, maybe even pressure from, sort of Stephanie mocking him a little bit. So we've got this 30-day suspension in. And as part of I've got our trade option. Maybe as part of this, the trade for Scott Steiner is Bischoff gets Rhino, and he puts Rhino in for a title match. We get an RVD Rhino match. ECW alum putting on an ECW style match as our Backlash. Just to sort of this place filler, sort of it's his revenge. He sort of feels backed into the corner that he has to suspend Triple H. We then have Scott Steiner gets traded to Raw, to SmackDown, and the trade back is he brings in Rhino and immediately puts Rhino in a title match against RVD, thinking this guy was the last ECW champion. You never won the ECW title, RVD, and Rhino can take you down in an ECW style match. And there's your main event for Backlash. Oh, there's your WWE title match for Backlash. What are your thoughts? How does that sit?
I like it. You're elevating guys. We're elevating here. You know, we made Rhino. We elevated Rhino at No Way Out, and he was on the stage at WrestleMania, and now, Rhino could spear RVD and look down at him and said, I retired. I closed ECW down as the champion of everything. I had both the TV and world titles. And then, he could go, RVD, you were the longest reigning TV champion of all time because you didn't have any guts. You were protected by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman protected you from tougher guys. You held your little mid-card title for 2 years because you didn't have the balls to go for the world title when I was in charge, or whatever, when I was the champion or whatever, something like that. Like, now you have no choice but to have to face me. You have no choice.
Absolutely. And then the following week, he comes out with the 2 ECW titles, one on each shoulder, basically, and I'm going to add your belt to my collection. These are mine permanently. ECW went out of business. These are my personal possessions because I was the champion when the company, was closed, and I'm going to add your title to my collection.
Yeah, exactly. And so you could bring back a little history, and I think the fans, Dave, I think will embrace this. I think they'll welcome it because I think that they're not, because, obviously we're not getting a bunch of lumbering garbage title matches. We could still have Kevin Nash come in if need be. We could talk about that for other things. Maybe he helps in the whole Jericho Shawn thing, or something of that nature, where we could, because we could use some extra guys on the roster. So I am all in favor of this. I am all in favor of this. I totally agree that that we should have RVD and Rhino for the World Heavyweight Championship. Do we immediately make it Extreme Rules?
No, I'm thinking I don't want to make it Extreme Rules because I want to hold that for some options later. I think it's a match. I think it's a match that will descend into that type of match, but it's not ever advertised as that sort of match. It's just a match that descends into, that they do a bit of fighting on the outside. They both start using weapons, and the ref, at his discretion, chooses not to disqualify either man, but we don't make it the focus. So you sort of get one of those brawls. They can go out of the ring, they can go in there. Very much an ECW style match at their peak, without it being Extreme Rules, where it just becomes chair shots and tables and
RVD can go back to Rhino and say, listen, you know why I was in ECW? Because I was the whole effing show. I wrestle. Rhino, unlike you, I didn't need frying pans and hockey sticks to be great. You're just a big, senseless dope. I'm the whole effing show. So if you think you're the greatest ECW champion of all time, why don't we eschew hockey sticks, frying pans, cookie sheets, bongs? Although RVD can look and go, well, I kind of like a good bong, and go, and go. Let's do it 1-on-1. If you can beat me or if you can hang with me within these four walls of rope, then maybe you're deserving to be the world heavyweight champion. But until then, you're just what everyone thought you always were anyway. The guy who tanked ECW. Like, you can turn it around. Yeah, I'm so glad you held those two trinkets when the company closed. He goes, when I was TV champion, ECW was the wild card. It was the sexy mistress of the old stock, or whatever kind of thing. He doesn't want to dig WWE, but we were when I was champion, when I was the TV champion, ECW was sexy. When you were champion, ECW was broken down and unwatchable. And he could, they could go back and forth and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and obviously, and even put it out there. And you never beat me for that TV title. I never lost it. I was injured. Yeah. You sort of, Yeah.
So, so I can, if you think you're the if you think you have the ability to be world heavyweight champion without hockey sticks, frying pans, and cookie sheets, cheese graters, bring it. So, Rhino's trying to tell RVD, you're not really ECW. You were just kind of pretty ECW. And RVD could go, I'm the best wrestler in ECW history. You were just the guy that nobody was watching, kind of thing. You you soak in the ECW fans, and you put on a match that I think fans would probably clamor to, because now is the time in 2003 to bring this new infusion to the roster, to the rosters of both. So now actually you have Brock Lesnar. See what I'm enjoying what we're doing right now, Dave, and I don't want to belabor this. We got plenty more matches to make. What I like what we're doing here is we're actually flipping the script on what happened in the Prime universe. In the Prime universe, Raw had all the superstar guys who had maybe 2.5 star match ability, other than guys like Shawn and Jericho. And SmackDown maybe didn't have as sexy a names as Raw did, but the matches were all 4.5 stars. Now, our two title matches is young Brock Lesnar taking on one of the most established big men of the last 10 years. And on Raw, you've got two guys who were established in another promotion, and now with the company as our oyster, we give them the opportunity to shine. Yes, on a secondary pay-per-view, and that's fine. They don't need WrestleMania. RVD proved that. But you're giving them an opportunity now on this stage to shine.
Yeah.
So I'm actually proud of us right now that we've been able to flip the script and give SmackDown a little veteran sachet and giving Raw an infusion of youth that it needs. Yeah. So there you go. So our title matches have flipped. I approve 100%, Dave. I think we've done a great job. So
now I think to continue some elements we were talking about a few minutes ago, the other thing I probably do after the match is I probably have Hunter come out and attack RVD. Maybe come through the crowd, because he's in theory he's been suspended. He can't get in through the backstage, but somehow, when the match finishes, he jumps the rail, gets in the ring and attacks RVD again. And, so to sort of build that we still haven't got that rematch yet. And so I think you could have an element where RVD wins clean, he's celebrating, and while he's celebrating, he gets attacked from behind by Hunter. And Hunter gets in some shots before leaving through the crowd again, before security gets him.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go. So our two title matches are set. We have Brock Lesnar versus Scott Steiner for the WWE title, and RVD versus Rhino for the World Heavyweight Championship. All right. Next, The Rock.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these two independently, actually. We need to talk about The Rock, and we need to talk about Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about them next, because they kind of go hand in hand. It's what we do next. So Rock puts Austin over. I'm sorry, the other way around. Austin puts Rock over the night before at WrestleMania. In our world, in this alternate universe, Dave, what do we do with Austin? Is he still hurt? Does he still have to retire?
I think we need to follow the boundaries that we've set in place. That
Okay.
he's made the decision that he needs to. His neck is just not as much as I would love to have Austin around. I think it becomes too much of a complicated thing. I think it becomes the easy well to go back to. Let's just put Austin in there. Let's just put Austin in a title match, and I think it becomes too easy to run it back. I think we need to keep that boundary in place that Austin is essentially being forced into a medical retirement.
Right. Exactly. So he's gone. So we'll focus on him in a little bit because we could do anything with him, obviously in a non wrestling capacity. So we'll put him aside for a minute. The Rock. Do we stick with the Prime directive? He comes out night after WrestleMania, says, "I finally did what I needed to do. I checked off the last box on my roster or on my list, and I pinned Steve Austin at WrestleMania. I'm done. You don't need me anymore. There's nobody else I can touch." Do we still do the smoke and the sparks and out comes Goldberg? Do we stick with that? What are your thoughts?
I think we do. I think number one, I think it was a good storyline that they did do. It was one of the few good storylines they did in 2003 in the Prime. Rock seemed to be involved in anything that was good in early 2003.
Yes.
But more importantly, I think it's the fact that we've got Goldberg arriving. We need Goldberg established. And I don't think we need Goldberg starting at the bottom and building a streak. I don't think that's the way to go. So I think Goldberg needs to arrive and going over the Rock it legitimized him in the eyes of the WWE fans. That to me is what that was all about. It made him like Rock sells for him in a way that I think no one else will. That spear he took. The way he sold the spear on Monday Night Raw when Goldberg returned, I think it set Goldberg up as this guy's legit. If you didn't really know who he was, if you never watched WCW, this guy's just come in and speared the Rock, and Rock sold it like it's the most devastating move in the history of the professional business. So I think it establishes Goldberg, it legitimizes Goldberg. Where he goes after the Rock match, I think can be changed up a bit. But I think that first month, that first match, I think it makes Goldberg beating Rock makes Goldberg legitimate and puts him on the map in the WWE. And it also gives the write-off for Rock to go off and do his movies.
Right.
So I think that the stage is laid out. I think you really need to keep with what you got. And it wasn't a bad match. It was quite an enjoyable match.
No, it was fine.
So,
it hit the beats. Yeah, it hit the beats. I agree. It totally hit the beats. We don't have to reinvent the wheel on that. I agree with you 100%. So, yeah. Yep. I approve. I approve of that. So, all right. So we keep Rock versus Goldberg with Goldberg winning and Rock,
riding off to make movies.
Riding off in the sunset to make his movies. Correct. Sorry, I brain farted there. All right. Next, let's focus on two guys who we had feuding, and then they had a mega match at WrestleMania. So what do we do now with Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho?
So yeah, that's a very, very good question. One option, it is Backlash. We could consider the straight out rematch between the two. You could have a rematch as one potential lineup there, or do we look at utilizing them with other other players. They need to be on the card. That's for sure.
Yes, definitely.
And especially with Triple H not appearing in a match. I think you need these guys. Now, whether it's a singles match or a tag team match, they need to be on the show. There are some options that could be created in a tag team scenario. And I want to. Can I just move away from Shawn and Jericho for a minute to come back to them, because I want to play out a storyline that we had been building in the lead up to up to and including WrestleMania, because I think this storyline could be incorporated into what we do with Shawn and Jericho. So the storyline we had been building was the Booker T Goldust tag team. Just, they'd been the champs, but then things weren't going well. Goldust had lost some matches, cost them, and now they've lost at WrestleMania. Goldust was the one who was pinned, and so Goldust sees himself as the weak link, maybe, or maybe Booker is starting to see himself as the weak link. There are a couple of options we could play here. One option is we could set up a six-man tag match where Shawn teams with Booker and Goldust against Jericho and two partners for him, and we continue to play out the potential breakdown of this tag team. Or another alternative is Booker, following WrestleMania, Booker turns on Goldust for continually losing these matches, goes heel, and Shawn and Goldust team up to face Jericho and Booker at Backlash.
Okay. So you like Booker as the heel then?
I do, because I see potential of some things we can do with him down the track on Raw as a heel.
Yes.
I think that there's to me there's a big storyline that could be used with someone who has just arrived in the company that we've just spoken about. I think you could play around with something later on with Goldberg and Booker.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. You could go back to, we did it with RVD and Rhino, where we could kind of, harken back to some WCW creativity. Boy, you liked being champion, huh? When you didn't give a crap about anybody's feelings, right? You like that, right? When Eric Bischoff was kissing your ass for, Bischoff, well, now Bischoff's going to kiss my ass, and you're the one that's now on the outside looking. That's something of that nature, but we'll get to that down the line.
Yeah. Now
I like that.
The question comes as to whether we do the turn before Backlash or at Backlash. And I raise that because we could use this as an opportunity for Jericho to have a couple of new tag team partners for this match. If you're wanting to look at bringing in some talent, elevating people who are arriving, there's a tag team on the, because our current tag team champions are Regal and Storm, and we're going to need to work out what we're going to do with our. Look, I mean, that could be your thing. Regal and Storm could be in this match with Jericho, because I can't really think of it, apart from the Dudley Boys. I can't think of anyone who Regal and Storm can really face at the moment, because we haven't got any teams built up.
Right, we haven't. Because in the Prime universe, RVD was with Kane, and they actually won the titles the night after WrestleMania. But now RVD is the world champ, so we don't know what we're doing with Kane. So interesting.
I think you could do this as a 6-man tag. Regal, Storm, and Jericho versus Shawn, Goldust, and Booker T. And in the middle of the match, you could have a miscommunication moment. You could do the old miscommunication. Goldust accidentally hits Booker, and Booker is done. He loses it, and he takes Goldust out. Bookend, scissors kick, whatever you want it to be. He can lay him out, and Jericho gets the pin. He gets the clean pin, so he can claim he's beaten Shawn back, even though he didn't pin Shawn. He gets the visible victory over, so that Jericho is not losing again. It allows you to bust up Booker and Goldust in a very public setting, and Shawn's not really hurt by any of this. Shawn's lost a match, but really he could even be trying to make a save, and Regal and Storm, drag him out of the ring or something to prevent him from getting in there.
Sure. Okay. All right. I approve. I like that idea because I think a heel Booker will be good long term. Of course, in the Prime universe, I don't think he turns heel till after WrestleMania the following year. So yeah. So there we go. Okay. All right. Next. Wouldn't mind getting rid of trying to figure out this scenario. So what do we do with Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is he just leave? Like, do we even, do we feel like he's got nothing? If you're not in the Mr. America frame of mind, which I'm not, because I just thought that whole thing was stupid. Same thing with did we have Piper come back? I'm trying to remember now. Did we have Piper come back at 19?
I think we did.
Okay. So
could you just do a Piper's Pit with Hogan as his guest?
Right. Yeah, could do that. And then they can cut a promo. That would actually add some, that's good. I like that idea, Dave, because that will bring eyes to the pay-per-view. The first time Hogan and Piper are on camera together in God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings eyes to the other matches that you want to build on, the RVD Rhino, and you bring eyes to the pay-per-view there. So I like that idea.
And you could even use it as part of the story, like Vince. Vince is going to be annoyed that Hogan beat him. I hate the Mr. America storyline, and maybe it's maybe you use it as, I guess, where do we want to take him? Is there someone who could be used to attack him? Is there someone who could be elevated that could have a match with him at Judgment Day, like Hogan versus someone in a way of elevation? And again, we're talking about maybe. See me how we haven't got. Oh no, here we go. Piper and it's Piper's Pit, and Piper brings out Hogan as his guest on Piper's Pit, and they go back and forth and verbal sparring, and maybe Piper says that, whatever it is, I reckon we bring out John Cena, and Cena attacks Hogan on Piper's Pit to set up Cena to meet Hogan next month at Judgment Day. It starts the elevation of Cena while he's still a heel. He can come out, maybe Hogan grabs Piper and shakes him around or whatever, and they're happening in the ring, and John Cena can just start rapping like, hey, yo, and he comes out of the curtain and he starts freestyle rapping on Hogan in the ring, and Piper could be laughing about it, and Hogan again pushes him down, and as he sort of refocuses again on Piper, and that's Hogan, or even maybe Piper gets a chair or a belt or whatever and hits Hogan, and that gets Hogan's attention, and Cena runs in and Cena attacks, drops him, hits him with an FU, because it wasn't called the Attitude Adjustment yet. It was the FU at this point. This is around the time it started that name, but it creates an opportunity to elevate Cena without just throwing him straight into the title mix, because we need to start some of these guys who are going to be we need to start bringing in and raising up. This is the time to do it. And I think this would be the perfect opportunity to elevate Cena without giving him a match.
Yes, I like that idea. I like that idea too. Cena, if he's a guy whose personality, whose personality is one that can grow, and they do have something for him, but they're not sure, what to do with him at the moment in terms of feuds, but they can think about the fact that he is a guy that welcomes the history and would look good in that scenario. Vince tells him, all right, you got your big win on me. It's time for you to help out a little bit. This isn't 1987. You remember 1987? Well, you're now Andre the Giant. So time for you to do your part. So I think that's a good idea. I like that idea.
All
right. So yeah, let's move ahead here. Do we have
we need a cruiserweight. We've got to have a cruiserweight match on Backlash.
Okay.
We need to lay that in. We haven't utilized our cruiserweights yet. Ray's got the belt. What do we want him do we want to just start to move through some straight, like what's going to happen with Ray now as the champion?
Well, let's see. Does Matt Hardy want a rematch? We've got Tajiri. We've got. I don't want to go the rematch line. I think. When did the Jamie Noble storyline with Nydia really kick up a notch? Is this a little too early for that time frame? Because Tajiri would definitely make a good challenger. Jamie Noble could be a good challenger, but I think you've got the Jamie Noble Nydia stuff probably needs to. I think that's already in place. I think Nydia is around because Jamie and Nydia were in Australia the year before. So yeah, I mean, look, it could be Jamie Noble, it could be Tajiri. I think it could be either of them. I know from having watched when I did my Ruthless episode with Matt that Tajiri and Ray have great chemistry and they can have great matches. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And I don't know if they really didn't do that because they were both faces at the time. Tajiri really didn't turn heel until the summer, and which is when he faced Ray. So I guess that could be held off to. I mean, you're obviously moving that to earlier in the year. And we've had a couple of heel turns happening. Is it better to look at a Jamie Noble as the challenger here? Sure. I was champion all of last year when you weren't here. I was keeping this division going while you were, jumping out of stages and all this other stuff. Yeah, I could see that. Sure. It's a good match to have. You could build that with matches and segments on SmackDown. Yeah, I would do that. I would totally do that.
So that gives us a nice, easy cruiserweight match. You could probably start the night off with.
Yeah, that's definitely good opener. Okay.
Right. Okay. Tag titles on SmackDown. We've got Team Angle are our champions. They faced the Guerreros at WrestleMania. Do we want a rematch? Do we want them to face off again?
I mean, are there any other teams?
Because we essentially built the Guerreros up into the lead up of WrestleMania, because we put them together. We had them win a match at No Way Out to sort of spotlight them and highlight that they're back together. We then had them face Team Angle, but with the way the card was occurring and who was winning and who was losing, we made the decision to keep the belts on Team Angle. I think you could legitimately have the, maybe Team Angle, we could do, they could play up Team Angle cheat to win at WrestleMania, and Eddie and Chavo come out and on SmackDown, they're acknowledging that, hey, you beat us at our own game. You cheated. And we acknowledge that. But do you have the guts to do it again? Do you have the guts to, because we'll keep doing, it's our motto. We'll cheat and we'll lie and we'll do whatever. And they can do the whole, maybe they steal the titles one week, or they interfere, and they could do those things to set up a rematch. And maybe this is where you put the belts on, with Hurt out, maybe you put the belts on the Guerreros, because we don't have any title changes at the moment on the show. Both our world champions have retained their title. Ray's retained his title. It gives you the opportunity to have a title change.
Yeah. Yep. That works for me. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's another match that brings people in, shows the work rate of SmackDown. Unfortunately, the tag divisions on both sides are a little thin. We kind of, admittedly, wrecked that a little bit by spreading guys around. So we did have to sacrifice a little bit, but I like this idea. Because they got good chemistry, and the fans don't care. The fans don't care. So yeah, I would put that on there, definitely. Yeah. All right.
And what it can play, and that can then play into next month, because we know when we talk about people who suffer some long-term issues, we've got to consider whether or not Chavo is going to, and Chavo may not get hurt because it's a different situation. He's not out that long. So, do they keep, what do we want to do with them moving forward? So, yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Trish Stratus.
Yes.
Or the women's title.
Does she get a match? Do we put her against Jazz?
Yeah, I think this is where we start this feud up, since she didn't, we didn't have her at WrestleMania. She's with, the whole Rodney Mack thugging and bugging Teddy Long thing. So we could build that up. I would probably keep the belt on her. You want her to drop, because she did end up dropping it in a month or something, which I don't want to do. No. So I see what
does she win? Is this a situation where maybe Trish wins by DQ? Like Jazz, Trish retains the title, but Jazz isn't really beaten, so you can have a rematch down the track.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So whether it be thugging and bugging at ringside, have do something that gets the ref's attention, or they drag the referee out of the ring, or Jazz just, Trish just keeps out wrestling Jazz, and Jazz ends up grabbing a chair and hitting poor Trish in the back with a chair. Like that's the sort of, you could create a few different options there. But I think, Jazz, I think this can be the match, because we really haven't had a lot of non-finishes really. That could be your first non-finish.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm good with that. And I don't know, maybe we got one more slot, maybe.
Yeah, we've got one more slot. I think what we need to be doing is thinking about who's next for Brock. We need a challenger for Brock next month. And I think whoever it is needs to get a win at Backlash on pay-per-view. I think we need to be looking ahead here, and because we've got Brock beating Scott Steiner, but Scott's sort of still focused on the Undertaker. I think we've sort of set that up with the Undertaker appearing and distracting, causing a little bit of a distraction. So that creates the need to. Brock's going to need a new opponent at Judgment Day, so we're going to need someone getting a win at Backlash.
How about two guys we haven't used yet? We could kind of lean towards it because they had it in the Prime universe. What about Chris Benoit and Big Show?
Yep.
In a number one contenders.
Yep. I think that works.
Yeah, I think I like that idea too, because we got to have Benoit on the show, obviously, and Big Show. We've already gotten Taker on camera. He
appears during the title match.
During the title match, maybe we do a triple threat with Taker, Big Show, and Benoit. Or do you just want Taker to show and then we can work with it after?
I like the idea of it being one-on-one because
that's fine.
Taker's his focus is on Scott Steiner because Scott Steiner's turned up on SmackDown and after losing to him at WrestleMania and beating him down, done something to him. So Undertaker's focus is on Scott Steiner still.
Okay, that works. So
who's going up? So here's the question. So you've got a couple of options here. Who goes over that then? Because we're looking ahead. So if you put Big Show over, you run the risk of Brock and Big Show had matches at the end of 2002. They weren't good. And Big Show beat Brock for the title. So you've got the idea here that Big Show can say, I beat you for the title last year. I'm coming to get it this time. Or you go face versus face match at Judgment Day and you have Brock face Chris Benoit in a match that would probably be very good.
Yes, I agree. And you don't have to really turn them face or heel or anything. I mean,
I think they could Benoit could stay Benoit. They could just have a match where they respect each other. They go out there. They if you choose to put Benoit in the match, you could really do. You could just keep them as I'm the number one contender. I'm the best wrestler here, and Brock. You got to beat me to prove it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I like that. Very simple. Sometimes simple's better.
Yeah. So having Benoit beat Big Show.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's the sort of match. That's the match like Benoit and as much as I hate, I know we struggle and it's very difficult talking about Benoit, but at that time, a match between Brock and Benoit, that's a main event. That's like the main event of the pay-per-view. They'd tear the house down. Absolutely tear the house down. I think you can do that, and at the end of the match, they shake hands.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I like that too. Yep. That works perfectly. So there's our Backlash card. We'll try and hustle along these next two. Well, at least we know, Bad Blood will go quicker because we're only dealing with one show. So All right, so Rey Mysterio,
and we've already and a lot of things are starting to build out of where we've come from here. We've got matches that are coming out of here anyway.
Right, exactly. So the card will get a little easier to because we're kind of starting from scratch because WrestleMania always is the end of the season, if you will. So Rey Mysterio, Jamie Noble for the Cruiserweight title. Big Show versus Chris Benoit, a number 1 contenders match. Los Guerreros beat Team Angle to retain the WWE tag titles, the blue belts. Trish Stratus and Jazz for the women's title. Piper's Pit with Hulk Hogan and a sneak attack by John Cena. Brock Lesnar versus Scott Steiner for the WWE title. Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, and William Regal beat Shawn Michaels, Booker T, and Goldust, and Booker T turns heel. RVD versus Rhino for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H comes out after and gets and attacks RVD to obviously go to the next chapter. And then in the main event, like it was in the prime, The Rock versus Goldberg. All right, so next up, our next show, we move ahead to May 18th in Charlotte, North Carolina for Judgment Day, the last dual pay-per-view, or the last pay-per-view for both brands until SummerSlam. So, Brock Lesnar retains the WWE title over Scott Steiner, and he faces Chris Benoit for the WWE Championship at Judgment Day.
In the main event.
In the main event. I most definitely put that match last. I most definitely put that match last. Because the crowd's going to get pumped for that one.
Yeah, and I think like the build up for that is it's straightforward. Benoit's won the match, so on the next SmackDown they can talk about how they respect each other, and Benoit can say something like that. But I'm the best wrestler here, and Brock, well, no, I'm the best wrestler, and they could have a bit of a push apart, and they're getting angry, and so maybe like the next week on SmackDown they both have a match, so it's a friendly rivalry. So the next week on SmackDown they have a tag team match. It could even be against Team Angle because Team Angle don't have the titles anymore. So the second week after Backlash, they have a tag match where Brock and Benoit are both trying to one up each other in the match. They go in, they do some sort of really good move, and then the other one will do the force tag the back in and sort of come in, and so they get a bit annoyed at each other. And over the course of the match, they start just getting frustrated and arguing with each other, and Team Angle score the victory by rolling up Benoit and grabbing the tights, and sort of Benoit blames Brock for the loss. Then maybe the next week they put each other to a challenge who can win their match faster. And so they could just wrestle any two. You could have two lower card guys who can take a loss, and it could be an Albert and a Rikishi, or a Sean O'Hare, or just any couple of guys down the ladder. But both Brock and Benoit are trying to win their match faster. And it's all about proving who's the better man. And then the week, the lead up show, you could just do another in-ring, maybe an in-ring segment where they're again get into the arguing and the push and shove, and I'm the better man. I'm going to prove it. I'll beat you. I'll beat you. And it just sets up the match at Judgment Day. They go out, they tear the house down. Brock wins clean with the F5, and after the match, you get the handshake. Shake hands, acknowledge, yep, you got me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Perfectly. I think it keeps both. Obviously, they both stay baby faces. Brock's like, you know what, dude? You're pretty good. It'll be, yes, sadly, and the good thing is, yes, it's the second time in 5 months that that Chris Benoit doesn't win, but it makes him look like a beast again, and it continues the build to what would happen, obviously, in 2004. So it's okay. I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts Benoit any. It honestly doesn't. I don't think so. No. I honestly don't think so. Because Benoit in the Prime universe, I just watched it, ends up losing to Brock when Brock was a heel in December anyway. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So obviously we finally get our WrestleMania rematch between RVD as he defends the World Heavyweight Championship against the now suspension concluded Triple H. All right. Here's our conundrum. We talked about it before we went on the air, Dave, and now we've got to acknowledge it. Yeah. Now, the night after, in the Prime Universe, as we all remember, the night after Judgment Day in Greenville, based on some type of whatever storyline, Triple H defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Ric Flair. Of course, we're both in Evolution. And Ric Flair obviously didn't win, but there was a special celebration. It led to the making of the DVD back when the DVDs were becoming incredibly sexy to buy. And
it's one of the greatest one-night storylines in the history of the company.
It absolutely was.
It really is.
It absolutely was. And they put, Triple H ceremoniously puts the belt on Flair's shoulder. They carry him around after the show. It was awesome. You have put us in a corner because you want that to happen in our universe too. The only problem is you can't do it if Triple H isn't champion. So do we break the fans' hearts, Dave, after just a month and a half and give the belt back to Triple H?
And this is the conundrum. This is where the conundrum lays. Because we've got a few things to think about here. First and foremost, as I said, that Triple H Ric Flair night on Raw is one of the greatest one night storylines in the history of the company, and I love it so much. I think it's one thing I would love to be able to keep in this. We're rebooking 2003. That doesn't mean we can't keep that one night. But for that one night to work, Triple H has got to be champion. Triple H has got to have the belt, because that's what the whole concept of it was, that he's got to face a former champion, that he chooses his good friend Ric Flair, and Ric Flair says he's not going to lay down, and he's going to, and it leads to a really interesting few weeks afterwards, because you've got the idea of, well, has this ended the relationship between Flair and Hunter? So there's one element to the storyline. A second element that we've got to talk about is the fact that Goldberg has just arrived in the company and has just beaten The Rock. So Goldberg is at the top of the card. He's going to be a main player. And at some point, you are going to have Goldberg in a title match. You can't have Goldberg go 12 months of a contract and not be in the title picture. And Goldberg is going to be a face. He's going to be the good guy. I don't think Goldberg versus RVD is a draw. I don't think it's the match the fans want to see. As much as they've loved and would have loved RVD getting the title, I don't know that they're going to be keen for a Goldberg RVD match. So at some point, the title is going to have to come off RVD for someone to face Goldberg down the track. Whether that's Hunter, whether that's Jericho, whether that's Kurt Angle, whoever that is, that's got to happen down the track. So at some point, we're going to have to take the belt off of RVD. The question comes is it now? Really what we've got to ask ourselves, the question is, do we want to sacrifice RVD's title reign to get the Ric Flair night and begin what will eventually be a build to go? Now, RVD can lose the title and not be out of the main event picture, and he could get a rematch. He could get a rematch at Bad Blood. Like, you don't have to take RVD out of the title picture by taking the title off him. But is it going to look? Is it the easy option? Is it going to look like the political games have come into effect, that Triple H is we're just playing the political card here because we need the belt back on Triple H?
You're going to put this in my lap, and then everybody's going to get mad at me.
I'd like your thoughts. I'm not putting it in your lap at the moment. I'd like your thoughts. I'd like to hear a train of thought because there's pros and cons either way. The pros are RVD keeps going in title reign. He's got this great moment. You could have a couple more. Yeah, you could have a rematch here. Then you could have a couple of matches with other guys, and then eventually you've got to take the title off him. And that could be a great championship reign for RVD. The fans are going to love it. In the back of my head is RVD reliable? Is his drug use going to be an issue? Is his injury? Now we know he doesn't get injured, but those are things that are going to be in the back of your head if at the time you're booking this going, oh, is RVD going to be able to stay around? I do think there are ways to get the title off RVD and onto Goldberg without having to use Triple H. I believe that wholeheartedly, but I don't think you're going to do RVD versus Ric Flair and have on Raw and have the same impact for a Flair tribute night. So this is what it comes down to. It comes down to whether we want to have the Ric Flair night or whether we want to keep the belt on RVD. That's really what it comes down to here.
Damn it. Sophie's choice. As much as it pains me, I think I want to keep the Ric Flair night. Okay. Not that it pains me, because I'm you know me, I'm a Flair guy.
Mm-hmm.
But we do need to put the belt on. We do need to put the belt on. We do need to put the belt on Triple H eventually, because he does have to drop it to Goldberg. So let's say Triple H wins the belt back with Randy Orton and
Orton's
Batista
not back
shenanigans.
Yet. They're not back yet. They're still both out hurt.
Are they? They are. Orton's back because Orton's at Bad Blood. So I'm pretty sure he's at Bad Blood.
He's not involved in the Ric Flair night though. I think he comes back after the Ric Flair night.
Yeah, because Batista's not back till the Bounty. So
this is like I said. I've got some ways you can do this. This is where I think utilizing Booker T turning heel can work in our favor, because I think in this match you could have. I think in the lead up to Judgment Day, Booker T has just turned on Goldust. And I think the night after Backlash, he beats Goldust on Raw. Clean, easy, simple, absolutely dominates the match.
Right.
And he starts talking about how he wants a shot at the title. Now, Triple H is the number one contender. And RVD maybe even says, look, I've got to face Triple H next. And I'm happy to I'll face you after that. But Triple H, it's already get booked in. The night after Backlash, Bischoff announces it's RVD versus Triple H for the world title. And maybe Booker is going, I want a shot. Give me the shot before Judgment Day. And RVD refuses. I've got to focus on my match. I've got a match signed. That's what I've got to focus on. And so at Judgment Day, you've got Ric Flair in Triple H's corner, interfering left and right. And then Booker T comes down and Booker T attacks RVD. Maybe the ref's out hurt. Maybe the ref goes down. I actually think this could be an Extreme Rules match, because I want the whole part of the premise of the Triple H storyline for the Ric Flair night was he was beaten up. He'd been beaten badly.
Yep.
He was hurt, black eye. I think this is where you do your Extreme Rules match. RVD versus Triple H in an Extreme Rules match. So you can have tables, you can have sledgehammers, you can have chairs. And at some point, Triple H is down. RVD does a frog splash on a chair, but the ref's out. And this is when Booker T comes down and Booker T just lays waste. Bookend beats up RVD, leaves the ring. Triple H then pedigrees him, gets the win. Triple H is the world champion. Booker T has RVD's focus, but RVD can have a rematch next month in a match where he wants his rematch because he's earned one, but we don't want any interference. So you could put them in the Hell in the Cell match, and you could have Triple H and RVD in the Hell in the Cell match, but you've got RVD's now got split focus because he's got Triple H gunning for him and Booker gunning for him.
Right. Yep.
And it keeps Booker involved. And it's basically, that basically means that once RVD and Triple H part ways, RVD and Booker go into a ready-made feud.
Right. Yep. Okay. That's a good way to do. I like that, Dave. Man, I knew you were going to get that right. Yeah, because then it cushions the blow of RVD losing the belt. Because I think it's obviously transparent that Goldberg's going to eventually be world champion at some point between now and the end of the year. So, unfortunately, at some point, RVD was going to have to lose. So, I mean, we could have stretched it out a little bit. If in the Prime Universe there wasn't a Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, and I kind of want to keep it, we could have just let it go all the way to SummerSlam and had RVD drop the title in the chamber, and then maybe built. I wouldn't do it 1 month later because Triple H hadn't obviously had the belt the whole time. You could have built it to something else, but unfortunately, I really want the Cell match at Bad Blood. So we kind of got to do something with that. So I'm good with where we are right now. I like that. That was a good call. I appreciate. I approve. I approve.
So they're our two title matches.
Yep.
And they're going to be at the back end of the card. Now, I think coming out of Backlash, we've got one match that we've already gained, and I think we've got a second match we've probably hinted at needs to happen. And I think that is number one, we've got to have Hulk Hogan and John Cena because we've set that up.
We did.
We set that up at Backlash. So Hulk Hogan and John Cena is going to be at Judgment Day. And I'd go out on the limb. I reckon Cena wins. I reckon it's dirty. It can be, Vince can interfere for all I care, but I think Cena getting the win really helps start that elevation process of Cena you're doing it in a way that it's not going to seem like he's being thrown down everyone's throat because we're in that rapper gimmick. He's the heel rapper. He can rap, he can cheat, and he can get help. He could get help from Piper. He could get help from Vince. He could get help from anyone to get a very tainted victory over Hulk Hogan at Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cena should go over because we're looking at building new stars as well, and Hogan needs to help build new stars. And Cena is going to be a new star. We're going to have two more new stars starting to appear from Bad Blood on. We've got more new stars coming up, but I think this is our chance to start building John Cena in a way that at the time I think would have been acceptable. Heel Cena getting a lot of help to beat Hogan. And you can always have a rematch on SmackDown where Hogan gets the win back. He doesn't have to be a forever lost thing. But you're playing a storyline. The biggest storyline is Hogan and Vince wanting to get rid of Hogan and end Hogan. And the way to do it is he's a new guy, this new toy to play with. John Cena has a lot of potential, and he's just attacked you. I'm gonna get behind John Cena. Maybe I can help him here. So yeah, I think that's how you. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I like that a lot. Absolutely, I think it works. I think it works perfectly, and maybe I don't know. Do we do a gimmick where Hogan disappears? So we don't have to have any Mr. America shenanigans. So if we do that, what do we do from there? Because SmackDown, obviously, after this show, SmackDown doesn't have a pay-per-view till July. So
maybe you do on television. You could play that storyline out a bit further. That Vince, like Hogan, can see Vince is trying to get rid of him, and Hogan, maybe it becomes a loser leaves town match. This place isn't big enough for the two of us. You pick any person on the roster, face me, right? And if I lose, I leave. And he loses. He loses the match, and you have him having to go for a while, and he goes out the door, and we don't see Hogan again for a while.
Yeah, okay, it's got to be. It's got to be.
And that's going to be one of that you do a big SmackDown around the time of Bad Blood, like they did. They tried to do some sort of big night where they had a couple of super big matches on SmackDown, and that's where that plays out. And whether it's Cena again, whether it's put him in a match against Brock, and I know Brock's still a good guy at this point, but that could start to play into where Brock goes down the track. Is maybe Hogan goes, maybe Vince goes, I don't know if he gets a title. I don't know if Vince would give him a title shot. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's a returning Kurt. Puts Kurt Angle in a match against Hogan, but Kurt doesn't cheat, but Kurt wins clean. Like that could be Kurt Angle's return to the show. Could be a one-on match with Hogan, where if Hogan loses, he's out of the company, and Kurt Angle beats him cleanly, but doesn't enjoy doing it. Like you could see on his face, you've put me in a bad spot here, and I don't like it.
Yeah, perfect. And we get Hogan off camera because he doesn't bog anything down, but he looks he still looks good.
And he's helped to elevate someone. He's helped to elevate people before he goes.
Yep, and it's somebody that they do particularly have a liking to for the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that idea too.
Okay. So that's our first match out of Bad Blood, out of Backlash.
Yep.
The second match I think plays out of our title match at Backlash, and that is, I think we need to have The Undertaker versus Scott Steiner again in a gimmick match of some sort.
Yep.
Whether it be a casket match, whether it be I don't know. We got to be careful. We've already got an Extreme Rules match there for the world title, so we don't have too many gimmicks. But yeah.
I don't want a casket match because even in our whatever universe it is, Scott Steiner will look clumsy falling into a casket. He'll probably knock it over. So
maybe it's just a straight up match, 1-on-1, Undertaker and Scott, or Undertaker and Kane against Scott Steiner and a partner of Scott Steiner's choosing.
I'm actually leaning more towards that because I feel like we
haven't been doing.
We haven't used Kane. And, I'm sure somebody's brother is still in halfway decent shape.
Oh. Are you thinking a one-off reunion?
He could just say, a friend of mine says, bite me. Yes, for one night only, the return of the dog-faced gremlin, Brother Rick. And we kick it old school to the mid 90s in WWE. And we have the Brothers of Destruction against the Steiner brothers for one night only.
Right. And it can only be for one night only because we're sort of bending our rules here, bringing Rick in, but Rick Steiner's not really with any other company. He's not really at TNA or anything.
He's not right. He's not a guy we're gonna strap the he's not going to ask for a title shot the next night. We're not. It's just a gimmick. And number two, you're right. We're not taking somebody away from somewhere else. He's not in TNA. He's not, because I'm watching 2003 TNA. He's definitely not there. He's not in. He pretty much, Rick Steiner pretty much, for lack of a better term, retired when WCW closed. So this doesn't count because we're not taking a guy and rebooking the whole WWE around. We're not rebooking WWE. We're not gonna have Brock Lesnar lose to Rick Steiner. Okay, we're not idiots. We're not drunk. So
and I think the build up there is Scott Steiner can start talking about how I've had it. You and your brother. I've been dealing with you two since I got here. I had to beat Kane. I beat Kane at No Way Out. Then it was you, Taker, and you cheated, and then I came here, and you and your brother have been a thorn in my side. And at Judgment Day, I'm gonna prove to you, you can just say it. You can say it in advance. It's not a surprise, but my brother and I were the greatest tag team in history. So you and your brother get your ass in the ring at Judgment Day, and you face me and my brother. I'm going to bring my brother in for that one night, and we'll prove to you we're the greatest tag team in history. Undertaker and Kane win the match clean, and I think Taker pins Scott. This isn't about Rick Steiner taking a loss to save Scott. This is the Undertaker-Scott Steiner feud. Undertaker pins Scott clean to end their feud, and Scott can go on to some other stuff.
Yep, that's fine.
It's a one-off thing, and he doesn't blame his brother. He brings his brother out, but Rick doesn't even have to be in the match a heck of a lot. Like, it's all, they're the heels. They can do the cheat. Rick comes in, they do some beatdowns, but Rick doesn't have to really take a lot of offense until, the hot tag at the end. He takes a couple of bumps at the end, but it really is about Undertaker beating Scott Steiner to end their feud.
Yep.
I like that. I agree.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah, I like that too. All right. Okay. Next, what do we do with, speaking of the aforementioned Goldberg, what do we do with them?
All right. So what I think we should do with Goldberg.
Now, he wasn't now in the Prime, just to let everybody know, in the Prime universe, he wasn't on this show. So we don't have to.
I guess he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. That's true. I guess there's the question. Well, he doesn't have to wrestle. I do think he should be on the show.
You want to put him on Piper's Pit?
I don't know that we need Piper's Pit. I mean, look, he could be a guest commentator on the Extreme. He could be a guest commentator on the title match. He could at ringside. Although if he's there, you'd expect him to get involved, especially when Booker gets in there. So I think that's maybe not a good option. Maybe he's sitting up in a skybox, looking over the match, and they do an interview with him up there at some point. I'm scouting. I beat Rock, and he's up in the skybox watching the title match. So just before the title match, they could have an interview with him up in, Michael Cole could go up and interview him and talk about who he thinks is going to win this match between RVD and Triple H, and Goldberg can say it doesn't matter because whichever one of them wins, they're on the list of who's going to be next.
Uh-huh.
No, because look, here we go. We don't need a Piper's Pit. I've got it. Which can actually help lead into a Bad Blood match, which actually is probably a storyline worth keeping, even if the match wasn't as good as you might have liked. You do Jericho interviewing Goldberg. You do highlight reel. Jericho and Goldberg. Jericho brings Goldberg onto the highlight reel, and it's all about how Goldberg was scared of him. When they were in WCW, you play up, because that's what they did. They played up that storyline. You can play up that storyline. You were scared of me. You never wanted to face me. I've come here. I'm the greatest wrestler in this company, and now you've come here. It's like you're chasing me, but are you man enough to face me? And yeah. And then and you set the two of them up to meet at Bad Blood.
Yep, I like that. And they, of course, did meet Bad Blood in the Prime universe. So,
Yeah.
okay, good. I like that idea.
Okay. So I want to throw a match in. I think we need to deal with our World Tag Team titles. Okay, we've had the titles on Lance Storm and William Regal. They've had them for a couple of months. I think we need to get the belts off them.
Okay.
Primarily because apart from the Dudleys, there's really no other face tag team on. So you need someone who can feud with a couple of heel teams, especially one heel team that is arriving in the company around this time. A young tag team that I think you want to get a bit of a spotlight on moving forward. So I think we need to get the belts off, and I'm talking about, obviously, I'm talking about La Resistance. La Resistance are in the company now.
Yes, they are. Yep. I was about to bring them up.
And so we're going to want to feature them moving forward, but really the only way to feature them is to have them gunning for the titles. So we need to get the belts off of Regal and Storm. And so I'm thinking where we've been coming out of Backlash, where T turned on Goldust in a 6-man match. What if Shawn and Goldust team up and take the titles off Storm and Regal? And in a way of sort of going, Shawn's sort of sticking up for Goldust, look, what happened there, and I'll be your teammate. And then there's almost a little bit of a redemption of Goldust here. Goldust shows that he can win. He wins the titles here with a different partner. Sort of play into the fact that Booker has really gone heel because it's in his own head. It's not really Goldust's fault.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I definitely concur with you on that. Because I think we need to keep those belts active. And since we in our universe we don't have RVD Kane as a tag team champion, which we had through and besides, I want to go back to something. We did a trade-off. We're doing a celebrity one-off trade-off. I also want to qualify our Rick Steiner thing because we are not using the Road Warriors.
Oh, of course, yes.
The Road Warriors, we're not doing the one-off. As much as I love, rest in peace, Hawk and Animal, but in this case, Hawk, because Animal wouldn't obviously pass for another 16 years. But we're not doing the one-off on Raw with the LOD and RVD Kane. We're not doing that. So we're trading the Road Warriors in for Rick Steiner, and you're probably thinking, Scott, you of all people? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, we definitely need to put the juice on the tag belts because we've been kind of ignoring them. So to a certain extent. So I'm good with that. So Shawn, so now you got two guys from 1996 that were together. I think that's kind of hilarious.
I think that's a means to an end. We want to get the belts off Regal and Storm, but really we're probably going to end up putting the belts on La Resistance. And so
exactly.
Shawn and Goldust are the transition. They're two guys. Look, I think Shawn is untouchable. He can do this and he can lose, and it's never going to hurt him. So to have him as a transition tag team champion isn't going to hurt. It gets him on the card, which is, it's a must at this point. He's one of the top guys in the company. He needs to be on the show. He's in a match. Regal and Storm. I mean, look, that's going to be a good match. Storm, Regal, and Shawn all in there. It's going to be a good match. And Goldust is no slouch. I think Goldust working with Shawn would up his game as well. I think, it's going to be good in rings. So I think it's an all-round victory for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. No, I got no problem with that at all.
All right. So now let's switch. We probably should switch to SmackDown. The Guerreros have won the titles from Team Angle. at Backlash. I think we give him a title defense, but I think maybe Team Angle need to be moved out of that title picture temporarily. They can come back later, but maybe we give them a match against someone like the FBI. Like, I'm looking at a team who can take a loss. Someone like the FBI, Chuck Palumbo, Johnny Stamboli. Like, you've got a couple of guys that are tagging up on SmackDown who are a team already, can go into a match and can take a loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that works. Let's do, I'm looking at the previous month. Anybody else? No, we don't have to have a women's title if we don't need one. If we don't, a women's title match, if we really don't need one. How about a mixed tag crossover?
Ooh.
How about Ray and Trish against Jamie Noble and Nydia?
Oh, I think that sounds like a great plan.
Little crossover. Stephanie. Ray walks over to, or not Ray. Maybe Ray walks over to, or Trish. Well, what do we do? Something of that nature, like Ray walks to Bischoff and says, "I want to borrow one of your guy." Well, you don't even need to do that because
what if the fact that there is only one women's championship, Nydia is managing Jamie on SmackDown, but what if she starts turning up on Raw because she wants a shot at the title?
Oh, so yeah.
It creates it creates a genuine crossover. The only place I can wrestle for the title is on Raw because that's where the title is, but I'm still involved on SmackDown because I'm Jamie Noble's manager. And so it sort of brings that little, those two together.
Yeah. I needed a hook. That's a good idea. I needed a hook to do the crossover without like Ray having to go ask Bischoff and him being a dick, and we don't really. I'm trying to avoid that, so I like that idea better.
With the intention being that Trish would need to face Nydia at Bad Blood. Like, you've got to show that it's not just a one-off thing. So if Nydia is going to want a shot at Trish, and then this mixed tag match happens because maybe Trish is refusing. You're a SmackDown competitor, whatever, and Jamie turns up and attacks. Nydia starts attacking Trish, and Jamie's there because they're a couple, and so then Ray recruits Trish in because he's been battling with Jamie Noble. Then Trish turns up on SmackDown to get her revenge during a Ray Jamie Noble match on SmackDown.
Right.
Trish comes out and attacks. Trish comes out of the crowd and attacks Nydia, and so you've got it set up in a natural way. But then you've got to have Trish and Nydia at Bad Blood to show that it's not just we're going to have this one-off mixed tag match. That Nydia is actually, it was all about getting a shot at the title.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe Nydia needs to beat Trish.
She does. No, I was about to say that Nydia needs to get the pinfall here to set us up for a crossover match at Bad Blood, and then they could work on an agreement where if Nydia, with Bischoff and Stephanie, if Nydia wins the women's title, she will go over to Raw, and SmackDown will take one of your women's superstars.
Yeah,
and and Stephanie tells Nydia, if you lose, you're here, whether you like it or not, kind of thing. So. All right. And you cause some friction because Stephanie tells Nydia, Nydia, if you win the women's championship tonight, congratulations, you will be going over to Raw. But, this is a business. So sorry, Jamie, you have to stay here.
All right. So that leaves us with, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I agree. So we've probably still got a spot on this card for one more match, and I'm just looking at who we haven't really been using a lot recently. There is to me there is a big standout person who hasn't been getting a lot of matches recently, and I know that once we go to brand separation, that's going to change. But I reckon we could get Christian onto this card. We haven't had Christian on the last couple of cards here. Maybe we can get Christian onto the card.
Well, you know what we haven't talked about?
Mm-hmm.
The reason we don't have Christian on the card is because in the Prime universe, what happened? Christian, of course, we had a battle royal for the Intercontinental Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it occurred at Judgment Day. So maybe that's what we run the battle royal.
So
it actually happened at Judgment Day, that battle royal. Did.
So you approve then? So you would like you want the Intercontinental title to return?
Yeah. So I think when you go to the brand separation pay-per-views, you need the extra titles.
Yeah, you do.
You need both the IC and the US have got to come back.
We'll obviously get into the US title obviously on next month's show. So we won't focus on that now. But yeah, we need to because neither show at the time had a secondary belt, which was weird. So we'll bring back the IC belt. Maybe Linda.
I was going to say you were going to say Linda does it.
Well, because Bischoff's the one who dumped it. So
and Austin was the one who brought it back.
But we didn't bring Austin back.
We haven't decided that yet.
Right. Well, so what does that mean?
I think Austin in the authority role. I mean, that the whole purpose of having him there was he couldn't wrestle, but he's still going to bring eyes. He's still going to get cheers.
Oh, totally.
So I think you could have Austin be brought into that role like he was, and his first action was to bring back the IC title and put it up for grabs.
Yep, I agree. All right, so we do that. So the Intercontinental, we do bring back. People are probably nervous, but you knew we were going to bring the Intercontinental title back. I'm looking right at my replica now. I'm like, we can't not have the IC belt. Sorry, that was a dumb. It was dumb in 02, and it was dumb in the Prime universe, and we made it dumb in the in this universe. So we're bringing it back.
I think we need to move away from, like, in the Prime universe, it was about only former IC title holders got to be in this battle royal. I think we can't do that because we've got most of our IC former title holders are involved in other matches.
Right. We've actually utilized guys that in the Prime universe were sitting around doing nothing, and we're making them better. So no, it's just an open challenge. Both rosters.
Who are we going to put in there? I think let's have a look at some guys who could go in this battle royal. And yeah, it could be both rosters with the winner is going to be on, or do we keep it to the Raw roster only? Like, let's have a look, because you've got Christian in there.
Christian.
You could put. This is where you could put Kevin Nash, because Nash is not under contract, and we haven't done anything with him.
Nope. Yep. You could put him there, former Intercontinental Champion. Val Venus.
Yep.
Or no, because the Chief Morley thing I think was gone by this point.
Yeah, so, this was his return to the Val character was at this point. Look, you could have. This is where you could have thugging and bugging. Rodney Mack and Chris Nowinski would. Yep,
Nowinski. Absolutely.
Would be in here.
I do think, my personal opinion, Dave. I do think we should include SmackDown guys.
Okay.
And then if a SmackDown guy wins, he just moves over to Raw, and we just swap a guy out. Whatever.
Yep. I think you'd have to have Test. We haven't seen Test around.
Nope, we have not seen Test.
So Test will go into this battle royal. Who else have we got? Some SmackDown guys that might. I'm just having a look at who we got on.
Matt Hardy.
Yeah, Matt could go in there.
Tajiri.
Don't want to have them all cruiserweights.
because obviously Ray is in the other match.
What about Big Show? He's not.
Sure.
We haven't got it. Big Show could go in, and he's the one they all you get. Well, he and Nash going face to face in this battle royal. I think there's a moment that'd be a fun moment.
Yes, it would be a fun moment. I agree.
And here's the question. Well, here we go. I mean, this is our world and our universe. Nash, we really haven't had anything for Nash to do. What if Nash and Big Show have a big face-off in the match? Possibly one of them eliminates the other, which results in Nash becoming a SmackDown roster member, so that he and Big Show can go somewhere. Maybe they have a match when we go to SmackDown pay-per-view only.
Not a bad idea. We don't have Triple H dealing with him at the moment. So, and what's he going to do? Not much.
Yeah, I think this is his. He makes his return in the build-up for this, but maybe he makes his return on SmackDown. We just straight out bring it out there. Post Backlash, Big Show has lost the number one contenders match, and the next night is when Nash makes his return. Big Daddy Cool is back. Here I am, and the biggest, the baddest, and Big Show doesn't like that, and Big Show and Nash start a feud then and there, and so this battle royal is just almost their first in-ring encounter since Nash's return.
Yeah, I concur. Yep, because I think Nash could maybe, Nash could maybe change things up, and maybe he could be a potential WWE title contender on that show later on down the line when we get to future stuff there. So, because he's going to sit around and do nothing on Raw anyway, since we don't have we've gone in a completely different direction with the gold belt. So, yep, I approve. I approve of that. Yep.
Okay, so let's have who else can go into this battle royal. Who haven't we seen a lot of yet? Who has sort of been unfortunately overlooked due to the nature of it? Well, we just switched him to Raw, and he had a title match last pay-per-view, and he's not on the card of this pay-per-view. Probably gonna put Rhino in this battle royal.
Yep, we can put Rhino in there.
I guess do we put the Dudleys and the APA in here? I mean, are we going to make this a big? How many do we want in the match?
Well, let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't have to go too crazy. I mean, that makes 14 if you put those 4 guys in.
Or if we just leave it at 10, a 10-man battle royal, it's not overloaded then.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I like that.
And that's it. So that they come out, and Big Show and Nash just straight away they just go for each other, and other people these smaller guys try to get involved, like maybe try to attack, and they're just pushing them away, and they continue their focus, and maybe Big Show eliminates Nash. Maybe Nash is the first person eliminated, but because of the way they had been acting towards everyone, Nash goes out, and then everyone just and Big Show is gloating. He's standing over there, pointing at him, laughing at him, and the other 8 guys just rush and eliminate Big Show, and then Nash and Big Show can battle it back to the dressing room. They just start punching on, and they battle back to the dressing room to keep them going, and then the rest of it, then you've got the players. I think you've got your, Val Venus is in there. Like, they don't have a lot of good guys in there, do we? Having just eliminated. I'm just looking at this. I think we need to make some changes. I think we need to pull Chris Nowinski out. We need to find another good guy who can go in this match. Maybe a SmackDown good guy.
Jeez. Oh God.
Billy Gunn.
Oh yeah, because he's in that weird it's in that weird um indecent proposal thing with Noble and oh god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, that's not happening in our world. But Billy Gunn
Oh,
being a
thank
former
God.
IC, yeah,
But at least
I think.
but what we're saying is at least Billy Gunn is there.
Yeah, he's a baby face. So I
Yeah.
was just looking at this gun. We've got like 7 or 8 heels in this match, and if we eliminate Nash right at the beginning, we've got like, all that's really left is, Val Venus maybe is a good guy, and that's it. So I thought we need to
Unfortunately,
get someone in.
I was looking at the original Battle Royal from the actual show, and it only had 9 guys in it anyway.
Yeah,
and half of the literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the guys we have in other matches. So,
yeah. But I think this way, by having Billy in there, and you got guys like Tajiri's a baby face, and you got Matt Hardy's a heel, but he can at least fly around. I think you want it to the position where maybe it's Christian and Billy Gunn at the end. I think maybe it's Christian, Rhino, and Billy Gunn are your last 3, and Rhino charges Billy, and Billy does the old drops down, pulls the rope down, and Rhino, going for a gore, eliminates himself. And then you're left with Christian and Billy Gunn. Christian eliminates Billy Gunn to win the IC title.
done. I like that idea. And Billy Gunn's a former IC champion, so that fits too.
Absolutely.
All right. So there we go. All right. So we open the show with the Battle Royal for the brought back WWE the Intercontinental title, which is won by Christian, which was won by Christian in the Prime Universe as well. Shawn Michaels and Goldust against Lance Storm and William Regal for the World Tag Team titles. So Shawn Michaels wins his first tag title since 1997, when him and Steve Austin had it together. Ray and Trish defeat Jamie Noble and Nydia defeat Ray and Mysterio and Trish Stratus in a mixed tag. Nydia wins, thus precipitating accelerating a title match with her at the next pay-per-view. Hulk Hogan and John Cena. John Cena wins. Vince McMahon and Roddy Piper try to distract Hogan, and John Cena gets the win. Goldberg's on the highlight reel with Chris Jericho. I mean, you could have put Jericho in there, but that's another bad guy. Los Guerreros defeat the FBI to successfully defend the blue belts. In a legendary brothers versus brothers match, The Undertaker and Kane defeat the Steiners. RVD and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship in an Extreme Rules match. Triple H wins the belt back after Booker T interferes, which happens after his heel turn earlier in the show. And in the main event, Brock Lesnar defeats Chris Benoit to retain the WWE Championship. Good card. I like that card. That card's definitely better than the real Judgment Day card. All right, so now this one will go a little quicker because we're only now. So now we don't focus on SmackDown. We'll get back to SmackDown on next month's show. We now focus on just Raw because we head to Houston, Texas on June 15th for the first brand-specific pay-per-view as Raw presents Bad Blood. So SmackDown's debut pay-per-view will be the following month, July, in Denver at Vengeance. And, of course, we will talk about that show on next month's episode. So we obviously, right out of the gate, Triple H RVD rematch, Hell in a Cell for the world title. We'll leave that there. We don't need to talk about the build. We know where that's going.
Are we going to have a guest referee? Because that Hell in a Cell match
was Mick Foley. Referee. It did. We had Mick Foley. Do we bring Mick Foley back anyway?
We can. Do you want to? There's no reason you can't. It's a one-off night. That's fine. That's fine. RV, because we could be, Foley's an ECW alum, so he could kind of lean into that a little bit, and that he hates Triple H's guts, which everybody did at that moment. So that fits. So yeah, I'm good with that. We could bring Mick Foley in. That's fine. Because our Triple H is going to win. If we had Austin as the guest ref, we'd have to have RVD. Well, I guess Austin could win. I guess Triple H could win anyway, but that doesn't matter. That's right. This is something we're going to have to change. Bad Blood is the night of the stupid Bischoff Austin.
Oh, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that.
That's not involved.
Absolute crap. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Him getting humped by Mae Young and then throwing up wings, and that's absolutely terrible. No, we'll pass. Matt Rotella just watched Bad Blood the other day, and he was laughing his ass off at that. And I'm thinking, oh God, no, I'll pass. We do Goldberg versus Chris Jericho. We keep that going because that did happen at Bad Blood, and then ended up actually being a halfway decent match. And they don't talk about it much in real life in the Prime universe, but in our world, they will lean in. Jericho will be a dick and lean into the whole WCW. You avoided me. You were a big freaking jerk face. You avoided me because you know I can out wrestle you because you're a big clumsy oaf. And you'd only
play into it. He could even bring up the footage. I'm 3-0. What was it? He was 3-0 in Smack.
That's right.
On Nitro. Look at the footage on a highlight reel. Let me roll the footage, and you could have this. You could even have the footage interrupted. Like you could have something like Jim Ross saying on commentary, "This isn't authorized. You can't. He's not supposed to be showing this footage."
Right. Exactly. That's pretty great. Yeah, I agree. We have it built. We'll have Trish Stratus defend the women's title against Nydia because we've built that up.
And Trish will win that. Trish will win clean.
Yes. Oh, of course.
Well, let's go through before we go here. So obviously Triple H needs to retain the title.
Triple H retains the title because we got to build him to SummerSlam, which as I mentioned, we'll get to.
And it's possible. Look, I'm not a big fan of. I think we've done a Hell in a Cell match to keep people out, so I don't want people getting in. But I think there's still got to be some way. Like Booker T could come down to ringside, and he could throw something into the ring to help Goldberg, brass knuckles into the ring, or gets the sledgehammer into the ring for for Triple H to use on RVD. I think Booker needs to come down and become involved, but doesn't actually get in the ring. I don't want him inside the cage. It's got to be on the outside, throwing something in or grabbing RVD to prevent him from doing something from the outside of the cage.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, I totally agree with that. I think Booker. Well, we need Shawn and Gold. Well, Shawn and Goldust will lose the tag titles.
Well, here's the question: do we put that? Yeah, they need to lose the tag titles. Do they do that on pay-per-view or do they do that on Raw?
Depends on your point of view. Because I was just thinking Booker. I think Booker Shawn would be a great match.
Yep.
So maybe leading up to Bad Blood, you have Shawn and Goldust lose to La Rez
very quickly. Yeah,
very quickly.
Almost, it could even be the next. It could even be the next night. Like
that
really
night in Greenville.
Yep. Yeah.
And then maybe do Dudley's La Rez here.
Yep. We could start that storyline.
Yep. And I think Booker Shawn. Unless you want to do Booker versus Goldust to kind of conclude that feud.
No, because we alluded that happened on Raw already. He did it the night after. Booker beat him the night after, and maybe Booker helps. Maybe Booker does get involved here. Like, so the night after, so Shawn and Goldust have won the tag titles. The night after, they defend the titles against La Resistance, and Booker, the pre-match interview is very much, Goldust, Shawn, Goldust, I told you could do it. You weren't the weak link in that team. And Booker comes out, and Booker in the match, Booker interferes, forces Goldust to be pinned, but Shawn's the one who wants the revenge. Shawn's the one who's like, hang on, you've just cost me this title. And I'm coming, you should never have been involved. And so, yeah, Booker T costs Shawn and Goldust the titles against La Resistance. So we're doing this whole Booker T he's the heel gone nuts and he's going to take on everyone. And yeah, and it's Booker T, Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood. I like that.
Okay. Yep. I like that too.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Booker needs to win. We've made him a heel. We're building a feud between him and RVD. I think Booker needs to win the match against Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Sure.
So we've got La Resist. So we've already said La Resistance versus the Dudleys for the tag titles.
Yep.
And La Resistance can. Oh, look. I mean, they can win by cheating. They can get counted out. I mean, you can have them get disqualified. I mean, Dudley's by disqualification there.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like, yeah, no, I agree. And then that'll just build as we, because that'll be obviously a Raw thing because that'll be a TV thing because obviously this will be the last Raw pay-per-view until September. So we'll have to obviously be on TV.
I've got a match. I want to propose something to bring us full circle and to get everything set up for the build to SummerSlam. Okay.
Huh?
We've had our Ric Flair tribute night. Ric Flair and Hunter have. It looks like Ric Flair has gone babyface. Okay. Ric Flair maybe even was in the dressing room with. Look, maybe the La Resistance win the titles 2 weeks after the pay-per-view because maybe you've got Ric Flair night, and then the week after Ric Flair is thanking Shawn for giving him the confidence to go in there, and obviously he's maybe giving a pep talk to Shawn and Booker. You guys, you've won the title, great, go out there, you can win tonight, and then obviously Booker T gets involved and they don't. Shawn is going to face Booker, but maybe Ric Flair sort of he's been backstaging with Shawn and Goldust, so maybe Flair agrees to team with Goldust because over the past couple of weeks at Raw, we have the return of Randy and Batista, and they're both sitting there going, "What are you doing, Rick? You've turned on you've left us, you've forsaken us. You're supposed to be here with us," and so we get the return of Orton and Batista at Bad Blood. And against Flair and Orton and Goldust, except is this to Vince Russo? Flair then just turns. I mean, everyone's turning on Goldust. I'm getting bored talking about it. I don't think it can go. I think maybe Orton can face. Maybe Orton faces Goldust in his return,
right?
And Flair comes out during the match. Goldust thinks he's coming to support him, but no. Flair is still, it's Evolution all the way. And Flair helps Orton beat Goldust.
Is Batista healthy?
I know he's back before SummerSlam. Just before SummerSlam. So maybe it's too early.
I don't think so, though, because I don't think we see Batista. Because I don't know, Dave, because Batista doesn't come on camera, I don't think, until he cashes in the bounty in October. Okay. So no, I don't think Batista's back for a little bit still.
Here we go. Evolution 20. Let's have a look here. He was sidelined for March and he returned in October. Yeah. So maybe we just so you're right. So Batista's not available, but what about
Orton is?
Goldust versus Oh no, I'm just thinking straight out. Goldust versus Orton, and Ric Flair comes out, sides with Orton, and shows that he's still with Evolution.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I that was the only thing I when you said that, I'm like, I don't know if he's So, and then it's just like a tease because it ended up being a tease anyway.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. So
Ric Flair helps. So yeah, Orton and Goldust are, yeah. So in the weeks leading up, you got it all comes from this Ric Flair night. We know Ric Flair night. Shawn gets to Ric Flair and like, you can do it. And so we get Ric Flair night. The next week, Flair is pre-match. He goes into Shawn and says, mate, thank you. I know I didn't win, but you're confident. You got the confidence in me to be Ric Flair. Tonight, you and Goldust go out there and you guys, you guys can keep, you can beat La Resistance. They don't. Well, Michael starts to focus on Booker, and Ric Flair might be saying to Goldust, mate, you've still got it. It's the confidence thing. Ric Flair to Goldust, you've still got it. You've been down on confidence all year. You won the tag titles. Yes, you just lost them, but it wasn't your fault. Booker T interfered. You are good enough to beat anyone. And then Orton can come in and, well, is he good enough to beat me? And Flair is encouraging Goldust to face Orton because you can do it. And he doesn't come out in Goldust's corner, but it's all been backstage. You can do it. You can beat this guy, this kid. He's a nobody. He's been out injured for months. You can. I know he's not as good as you. And Goldust and Orton meet at Bad Blood. During the match, Flair comes down. Goldust thinks he's coming out to cheer for him, but no, he trips him over. Randy hits an RKO, and Ric Flair and Orton put the boots on Goldust after the match to show that Evolution is still in play.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And even Flair can even be like, listen, Goldust, I know the man behind that makeup.
Mm.
He could even go to like through the Dustin Rhodes way and go, I know the guy behind that makeup. I know the guy behind that makeup's father.
Mm.
He was never a quitter either.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
He could totally do it. So
yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah. Flair's got it. You got to touch the history on that.
Mm. Yeah. All right. We need Christian's just won the IC title. Christian needs to defend his title on this show. That's that simple.
No, it has to. Now that we have the belt back, it's got to be on the show. Yeah.
So who does he defend the title against? Does he defend it against Val Venus? Do we just go?
I was just thinking that myself. I was actually just thinking that myself.
Or look, I know Undertaker and Kane faced each other at joined forces at the last show, but Kane is a Raw star. Does Christian face Kane for the IC title?
Yeah, because we haven't done the Kane on maybe. All right, well, let me ask you this then. One more thing we need to talk about. Does Kane? When are we doing the unmasking? Does Christian take that storyline from Triple H, and we get Christian says, "You want an IC title shot?
Put your mask on the line.
Put your mask on the line."
I like that.
And then we get it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. No, that's good. I like that.
I like that too.
Title versus mask, basically.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that works out.
Because it can come out. Kane can come out and go, I want the first shot at that IC title. You weren't in the Battle Royal. I want the first shot at that IC title. Well, what have you done to earn it? You haven't done anything. If you want a shot at the title, you need to put something on the line. And Kane can be like, well, what do you want me to put on the line? And Christian says the mask. All right, you lose, you take the mask off. And that sets up that storyline and the Kane turn. Yeah, I think that works. So, all right. Is there anyone else who should be on this show? I'm just trying to have a look at the roster. Buggan aren't on there. But we do have the Dudleys. Test isn't on the show. He was a bad guy as well. William Regal and Lance Storm have just lost the have just lost their
Well,
titles.
Regal's gone because Regal had that infection.
This is when
Technically,
he got
Regal's
sick.
not around anyway.
All right, this is when he got sick.
Yeah, he got sick, so Regal's gone anyway.
Okay. All right. Do we do a second women's match on the show and start building up for the next thing? Because we don't have to have just one women's match.
No, how about
women's
we
match
can't.
of the month?
Right, we have it is Raw and that is their division. So maybe they're pissed off that they got ignored for a title shot because we had to hand it off to somebody not on our
the number one contenders match, a women's number one contenders match.
Right. So we could have Molly, Gail Kim, Jazz.
That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking Gail Kim. When does she start on the roster?
May. No, she starts. Oh, wait a minute. No. No, she doesn't start till a couple weeks later because she wins the title in a battle royal because that's when I just watched it. It was on
June,
yeah, and that's when Jazz got hurt. So technically, we don't even have Jazz anymore because Jazz injured, tore something or whatever, and she's gone. She's gone for the rest of the year.
Okay. All right. So who are our women competitors at the moment? We've got Molly, we've got Victoria. Is that our match? Molly, Holly, and Victoria.
Yeah, I mean Molly's. I don't know if she's I guess she's still a heel at this moment. Now here's another thing. Victoria does turn face. Maybe I don't know if we have to if this is a rule thing, Dave, but Victoria turns face, but she technically doesn't turn face till the following February of 2004. Are we breaking the rules because we're kind of going outside the calendar year?
No, because she's on roster. Our rules are we can do with we've kept Scott Steiner. We've got Scott Steiner going heel.
That's true.
When we wanted him to. We're not doing this. We've had Booker T turn heel. We can have people do face and heel turns without having to have any.
That is true
because they're on the roster. It's our build, and we're building these storylines the way
that
we
is true.
think
Good call. I didn't even think of that. Good call.
I don't think there's any reason why either Molly or Victoria. Who? So you thinking Victoria might be the better one to go face?
Yeah, because I love her. I love her as a baby face.
Okay,
I loved her as a baby face.
So it's obviously going to have happened maybe around the whole, the arrival of Nydia. Maybe Nydia. Maybe Victoria is in line for the title shot, and Nydia comes in when we've got this whole Nydia wanting the shot. In the build up to Bad Blood, Nydia is like, I beat Trish last month in the tag match. I'm getting the title shot, and Victoria is like, no, you're SmackDown. You shouldn't even be here. And so maybe Victoria's babyface turn is precipitated by Nydia turning up and being on the show. And so Victoria maybe Nydia beats Victoria on a Raw as part of that cementing that Nydia is here and she's the challenger, but Victoria is now a babyface. And so a babyface match between Molly and Victoria, I think, we're going to have two women's. Let the women's revolution begin.
Yeah. Sure. I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I concur.
We won't call it a number one contenders match. It's just a women's division match because, as you said, Gail Kim's going to arrive shortly, and I think Gail Kim is very much viable going straight into that spot.
Totally.
So so Victoria and Molly Holly. Is Victoria having just gone babyface? Does Victoria get the win?
That depends because in the Prime universe, Molly Holly ends up winning the women's title at the end of July. If we keep that, then Molly losing kind of sucks. So it's your call here where you think we should go.
I guess that the fact is, if we've just turned Victoria, you've got there's two lines of thought here. Victoria's just gone babyface, but you're in a world where the women's division, they can flip around that willy-nilly. If it really comes down to who you want Trish facing moving forward, because Gail Kim's going to arrive shortly, but that piggybacks on the fact that Trish is the champ. She needs someone to be building towards or facing before Gail arrives. And if you've just turned Victoria babyface, you've probably got to have Molly cheat to win so that she's got a genuine statement to say, I should be the next challenger for the title. So you're probably right. I think Molly needs to get the victory only because it plays into where you want things going forward with Trish. Trish is the champ. Who's the next challenger? Gail Kim's not there yet, so the next challenger is going to be viewed as being Molly. Whether Molly challenges, whether we go a different route, that's for our future episodes. But I think Molly gets the win on this night.
Yeah. Yep. And I think we do need to. I think that needs to grow. And you're right. I think what we're going to do on our next episode, because again, the best part about our next episode is we have one of each. We'll have a SmackDown only, we'll have a duel, and then we'll have a Raw only. So we get one of each next month. And I think if the cruisers are the tertiary division on SmackDown, then we have to really push the women as something, legit, because we haven't really talked about Tori Wilson and Sable and the bikini contest and all that, even though that stuff was awesome. We kind of didn't really get into that because, you and I are trying to make these cards not as shitty as they were in real life. But I think we need to really make sure the women's division is treated with some reverence. So I agree. That looks good. So here is our bad blood card as we wrap things up. La Resistance against the Dudley Boys for the tag titles. The Dudleys will win by DQ. Victoria, Molly Holly. Molly Holly wins by cheating in what is ultimately an indirect number one contenders match. Randy Orton and Goldust. And Goldust, Ric Flair turns heel and helps Randy Orton win. Booker T versus Shawn Michaels. Booker T wins. Trish Stratus versus Nydia for the women's title in a crossover. Trish wins. Christian versus Kane for the IC title versus mask. This is where we do that. Obviously, Christian wins. Kane unmasks, and everything with Kane goes the way we do. We may tweak things with Kane though, because we don't like Kane's opponent in the back end of the year. We're changing that. That's for sure.
Well, and on top of that, he's not going to be facing RVD when he as he's going heel, because we've got RVD in a different feud already. So
right, exactly.
He'll need someone else to face.
Exactly. Goldberg takes on Chris Jericho. Goldberg wins clean. That happened in the Prime Universe. And in the main event, Triple H defeats RVD inside Hell in a Cell. Mick Foley is still the guest referee, and Booker T again gets himself involved. As we're trying to really give Booker T, the shine as we move ahead. So there's your three cards, everybody. I hope you think we did a pretty good job of cleaning things up. Dave, fantastic job. I thought we did a pretty good job these middle three shows. We look ahead. I mean, we went it's one of our longer episodes, but that's okay. It's pretty awesome. This is pretty meaty, so we hope you enjoy it. And we will be back next month in October for part 3, where we will get one of each type of show. We will get SmackDown's first solo pay-per-view, which is Vengeance from Denver. Then in August, of course, we will go to Phoenix for SummerSlam. And then finally, we will go back to Raw and we'll head to the land of chocolate, Hershey, Pennsylvania, for Unforgiven. And that'll be our episode next month. Dave, always a pleasure. You're fantastic. I think we did an awesome job rebuilding these cards to be much more watchable than they were in real life. You can check Dave out all over the place. He's all over Facebook. He's all over our pages. You can check him on Chronoso over on the Noso. He's doing all the great stuff there. Again, check out the new show Reckless. Sorry. Ruthless. Reckless is my buddy Johnny Reckless. Ruthless, not reckless, although sometimes we're considered reckless. Ruthless with Matt Farrell as he's rejuvenating the Ruthless Aggression era. And you'll hear a couple of familiar faces in the first 2 episodes. Just leave it at that. Of course, keep it with us here on the PTB Wrestling Network, all of your classic shows, and all around the quad of pods. Of course, the PTB Pop Experience, the No-So, which includes the Jenny position, and of course, Backbone Wrestling as well. Those guys. Dave, again, always a pleasure. Everyone, enjoy the beginning of autumn. That started this past beginning of this past week, and enjoy the wrestling. Hope you enjoyed WrestlePalooza. I haven't watched it yet as of this taping, so I don't know how ESPN works on this side. Hope you all. I don't know how it went for everybody. We'll see, and we will see you for part 3. Barring any wrestling deaths, in October through the Looking Glass.